All right, let's go. Saquon Barkley's first game back at MetLife Stadium is right around the corner, and even though he seems to be downplaying it, there are others who expect it to be a straight-up war, as the Eagles will be without Jordan Mailata for at least the next 4 weeks, right as they're about to take on the best pass rush in the league in the New York Giants. However, the solution to that problem is staring Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore right in the face. The question is, will they do it? Plus, with NFL transactions taking place, there's a few names that have been linked to bolster the Philly pass rush. But how realistic are they, and what would it cost? Also, the Eagles just got a playmaker back on the defense. So let's break it down and everything else ahead of the Week 7 matchup. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? So it's Giants week, and it's safe to say that G-Men owner John Mara hasn't slept well in 3 months.
I just got a text that Chicago's driving the price up and Philly's out. I don't know if that's true or not. Which I don't know if I'll make a couple of calls. I don't even know if that's gonna happen, but
I'm gonna have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia. I'll tell you that. As I've told you, just being honest.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning.
First down. This time it goes and right up the middle for a touchdown. Goes Saquon Barkley, his second touchdown of the game.
Oh boy, did they part the sea that time.
Brown with Saquon Barkley, they do. He breaks free. He's at the 50, the 40, the 30. He's going to go. Touchdown, Saquon Barkley.
It can't be a great feeling to see one of your best players go to a rival and then dominate. But that's what Saquon's been doing. Now sure, he didn't have a good game against Cleveland last week, but there's reason to believe that'll change. Because first off, even though the Giants' D-line is good, they aren't good against the run, with New York defensive coordinator Shane Bowen electing to use the lightest percentage of boxes in the league, along with New York ranking 22nd in EPA per rush, 28th in rush yards before contact, and 31st in rush yards over expected. So yeah, as we've been looking at what's wrong with this offense, the answer only becomes more clear before Sunday. Run the ball. By the way, if you want to help prove that point and remind Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore what to do on offense, I've got a link in the description for my Let's Run It shirts in the description. Anyway, like I was saying, that philosophy just works. Because take a look at the last 7 games the Eagles have faced the Giants during the Joe Shane and Brian Daboll area, and running the ball has been ridiculously effective. So much so that it's to the tune of averaging 185 yards at 5.6 yards per carry and nearly 2 touchdowns per game. So even though we're looking for some creativity and complexity in the Philly offense, this might be the week to keep it simple given the track record versus the Giants.
It's like Novocaine, just give it time, always works. See you on the bus.
Look, I realize the Giants went out and paid big money to help their front 7, but it hasn't helped their run defense. Because they're allowing over 5 yards per carry, ranking 2nd worst in the NFL, which is already bad enough, but considering that's been against not nearly as talented teams in that phase of the game like the Seattle Seahawks, Dallas Cowboys, Cleveland Browns, and Cincinnati Bengals, who by the way all rank in the bottom 10 in terms of rushing offenses, means Saquon should be the focal point of the offense for Philly. Like all the numbers and analytics make perfect sense for what the Birds should do. Although, according to Dexter Lawrence, the Giants might be keyed in on shutting down Saquon.
I appreciate what he did for this organization and who he was as a teammate and a person to me, most importantly. But, you know, Sunday is war, and he knows that. I mean, at the end of the day, to me, it's football. And, you know, you got to beat whoever in front of you. And this week is the Eagles, and that's the game plan. And I'm excited to compete against Saquon for a full game and, you know, just put my will on him a little bit.
For the record, I do appreciate Barkley being humble and trying to downplay this whole game, citing the impressive defensive front, saying Dexter Lawrence is the best in the game, but that even though this is a rival, it's essentially another game. But come on, let's be real. You know this one matters to him just a little bit more than the others. Heck, think back to A.J. Brown downplaying the game against the Titans in 2022, and then going out to torch them for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns, where he admitted afterward that it was definitely personal for him. So yeah, that's exactly the same reason why I think this game means more to Saquon, which is also how Swole Batman feels.
I think the beast will probably be let out on Sunday, but he's doing a great job keeping it one day at a time, and he's just doing what he regularly does, and just coming to work, doing the little things, and so I think he just break it down to making the most of each and every opportunity, and just focus on the little details, your keys, and you know try not to make the big play, just make the routine play, you know, and everything else will take over itself. You know, he's a great athlete. I'm sure he's gonna make plays.
I feel like the Giants thought I was gonna go out there and get 9, maybe 8, stretch at 10, and then I'll come back to them, and it's like, all right, well, we got you. If you want to come play at 9. You can come play at 9, which I think that truly would have got it done. I think that's just where they valued me at, or Joe valued me at. That's what he had a price point where he was willing to pay, and he wasn't going to go over to it. And you know, kudos to him for sticking to his gut. But yeah, that's how I feel, and I kind of felt like it was like, kind of a little disrespectful, to be honest, because it's kind of like a slap in the face. But you go see what you are worth, and then if you're worth that, we'll see if you're worth it, and maybe we'll match it.
Look, I just don't see how Saquon doesn't go out there and prove that he's Philly's new giant killer, which is why if you haven't already, make sure to take advantage of Underdog's odds on an anytime Saquon Barkley touchdown. Since after all, they are the official sponsor of the channel, and we've had some insane winners recently. So this week, I'm going with that Saquon anytime touchdown and a Daniel Jones anytime interception. Like, come on, we know DJ's always good for the occasional turnover. And with Quinyon Mitchell being so close to coming up with his first interception last week, I think this is finally the week. By the way, I've got a link down in the comments if you want to tell that play and then sweat it out with me during the live stream. Of course, for you first-timers out there, you could pair that up with an Aaron Rodgers automatic winner too, since all first-time deposits get a free pick when you use my code PHILLYSPECIAL. It's simple. All you got to do is scan the QR code and use my code PHILLYSPECIAL, or just click the link in the description and you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. As always, please make sure to gamble responsibly and then pray that the Eagles coaching staff does not screw us. Seriously, if we don't see 30-plus runs in this game, something's gone drastically wrong. Because there's no denying the Giants are strong versus the pass, especially with the new addition of Brian Burns playing well. In fact, they entered Week 7 leading the league in sacks with 26, as the G-men have shown an impressive ability to get to the quarterback despite not bringing near the amount of blitzes like last season in Wink Martindale's defense. So, when you take that into account, along with Hurts being near the very bottom in QB efficiency when facing pressure and being without Jordan Mailata on the O-line, who for the record was officially placed on the IR due to his hamstring injury, the question of can Hurts go multiple games without turning the ball over looms large. Remember, the Eagles are 11-1 whenever QB1 doesn't turn the ball over. Yet that part did get tougher with Fred Johnson now starting in place of Jordan Mailata. Like, no offense to Fred, but in his last start, he gave up a 29.7% pressure rate. Just FYI, that was the worst by any offensive lineman in the NFL this year. And now he'll have to go up against Brian Burns, who was a beast last week against the Bengals. Granted, he's dealing with a groin injury himself, so may not be 100%, but did say he's for sure playing. However, even though there's some concern for Fred Johnson stepping in, shout out to Anthony DeBona, who did point out that the 27-year-old swing tackle is much better on the left side than on the right, as Johnson's only allowed 2.5% pressure from the left tackle position. But still, having gone over these numbers, how are you guys feeling about the O-line going up against the New York Giants D-line this week? By the way, at least the Eagles were getting in a lot more practice of Hurts' snaps under center, which I talked about more in my last video, so we'll see if that results in potentially some outside zone and play action, or if it's just fool's gold. Of course, the Giants are also without their starting left tackle, with Andrew Thomas having season-ending surgery on his foot. And also a little bit further research into this, but when you try to see who could actually potentially replace Thomas, the potential options are not that promising for New York. So perhaps the Birds can build off the pass rush improvement we saw against Cleveland and take advantage of another weaker opponent. Anyway, the trenches are where it starts, but the other area I'm going to be focused on is who's guarding Malik Nabers, because the Giants rookie has lived up to all the hype before the season, as he's already had multiple games over 100 yards receiving while ranking 7th in the league in catches and 14th in receiving yards. Oh yeah, that coming despite missing the past 2 games with concussion and groin injuries. But it sounds like he's close to 100%, and it'll be interesting to see if Darius Slay matches up more or if Quinyon Mitchell does. Personally, I'd like to see Q go one-on-one. But New York moves Nabers around the field, meaning most likely we'll get to see each corner get their opportunities. Either way, though, this game is similar to the Cleveland one. Don't try to do too much, run the football, and then please pass rush, get home. Now, on the topic of pass rush, I've seen a lot of rumors popping up about potential targets for Philly since we're getting closer to the trade deadline. For example, Dietrich Wise is a name from the Patriots that John Stolnis brought up, seeing as though New England could be sellers and the 30-year-old would offer some rotational value, with him totaling 2 sacks, 2 passes defended, and 13 tackles through the first 6 games. And then Cleveland's Zadarius Smith is a guy Anthony DeBona mentioned on a recent live stream for a possibility, plus with him being 32, the price tag wouldn't be that high for Smith. Yet he's been fairly productive for the Browns this season, with 3 sacks, 3 QB hits, and 2 tackles for loss. Of course, I can't forget to mention the idea of trading for Von Miller, since CBS's Cody Benjamin brought that one up and got everyone worked up into the idea, arguing that since Bryce Huff hasn't popped yet, and Miller has a history with Vic Fangio from the days in Denver, he could be the last grasp effort for Howie Roseman to inject pass rush with life. Although I don't know, call me crazy, but the idea of getting Miller, who's suspended until week 8, and Howie's past record on getting aging vets near the deadline is not necessarily the most heartwarming. However, be that as it may, one area of the defense that we would get some added playmaker ability is the secondary. As it's finally happened, the Eagles officially announced that Sidney Brown has been activated from the PUP list to the active roster, and will be suiting up for the first time since last season. Which, by the way, is somewhat ironic, seeing that Brown will be returning to game action for the first time since suffering his ACL injury at that same stadium. You know, the turf monster stadium that Mekhi Becton referred to as all kinds of awful. Now, of course, it'll be interesting seeing where he ends up playing, but honestly, Sidney Brown can certainly help out special teams at the very least. Plus, like Anthony shared, the Eagles replacing Avonte Maddox and Keely Ringo in their dime package with Cooper DeJean and Sidney Brown is a significant upgrade. And I, for one, am in agreement that the possibilities are endless with both of these versatile, physical, and super athletic defensive backs. Oh yeah, another facet of Brown's game which hopefully pays off is creating turnovers. Because given that violent play style, it can only help to create havoc. And considering that the Eagles are tied for second to last in takeaways, I can't wait to see what the 24-year-old can do. By the way, do me a favor and hit that like button and also go comment, because anyone who comments in this video will get a chance to win a Sidney Brown jersey if he gets a takeaway. Also, I'm curious to hear what you guys think though about number 21. What are we going to see from him? Expectations? Does he end up getting playing time on defense? Where's that going to be at? All of that. And also, let me know your score predictions. I'm going to go with Eagles 23-20. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.